This one is this is a 30-minute video. It's a full breakdown of the Amouranth thing that happened. Let's talk about it. This is like a self-defense scenario that happened where a streamer, a really big streamer named Amouranth, was broken into, and they tried to rob her at gunpoint for crypto, and then allegedly she defended herself with a gun. So let's actually see like what happened here. Her husband dead. Her husband dead. Okay. Honestly, look at the defenses. She's got crazy defenses. Look at this barricade that she has set up. Wait, did the sound go away? Okay. It's not mess, it's barricade. I'm gonna be real. Like my room would be just as bad if my mom didn't whip me to shape all the time and like actually help clean my stuff. Like it'd be a fucking mess because I'm like that kind of person. I'm like the kind of person where I know where everything is, even if it's a mess, and I'm fine with that.
Here, Nico, we're already in.
Yeah.
Look, there's a camera right there. We're already in. Just do it.
I'm really not good at cleaning, and it's particularly hard for me because, as you can probably tell from watching my streams, my mind is not very good at being organized. Like it's very chaotic, and this might be hard to understand, like if you're not like this, but like I have trouble with conceptually of like where of things, like how do I even order things in like a way that matters. Basically what happens usually is when I clean, it's usually I tell my mom like give me orders, like give me a task, and then I'll do it. So basically like she'll tell me like put this there, move all of these into here, and then I'll be like okay, and then if I hard focus on that I can do it. But then if it's like me myself doing it, I end up just taking an object and just moving it to the other side of the desk, and it doesn't actually do anything. Does that make sense? But it's like that same thing though is the reason like I'm so good at talking about nothing. And it's the same reason why I'm really good at like DMing, for instance, is for the same reason.
Go. This ain't this. This ain't go. Just get it. We got a problem. Keep the door.
Oh damn. The thing that surprises me is how did they even get in? How did they breach? Hold on, wait, let's back up a little bit, just to get an idea of this. So they came through a door here? How did they get in without an alarm going off? Well, if you break a window, the alarm should go off, right? You should have a sensor on the window. Do you think it was an inside job? Like, how does that happen? Just forgot to turn the alarm off?
Go.
Why wouldn't you have window sensors? If you're like a streamer and like, you know, I mean, obviously guys, you know, I'm not even gonna explain to myself. If you think that I'm victim blaming, you're just retarded. So I'm not gonna even.
Go, just get it.
But you have to be responsible for your own safety at some level, because that's how you protect yourself from this happening, because there's no one else that can save you from this. The fact that like her husband was able to or husband, boyfriend or whatever, the guy, the fact that like they were able to like save her from this is just lucky. Really, they already got to her. They already had her at gunpoint. If they wanted to kill her, she'd be dead right now.
We got a problem. Keep the door.
Please let us rob you. Well, I mean, the thing is it's possible that that guy, that this is like his first time committing a crime. They must have been like, yo, this is like my thought to this is it's possible that the reason they're acting like this is because they're not really super good criminals. One of them might have just been baited by the ideas of riches, right? Because they're like, man, she has like a lot of money, like we can like take it, no one will ever find us. And so somebody got baited into like, okay, I'll do a crime this one time and then like I'm done, right? Yeah.
Go now.
Level 1 criminal, yeah.
Hurry. Keep going. Hurry.
Where's your money? Well, the thing is crypto, you have a lot a lot more that you can get. If you're looking for just cash, she probably doesn't have that much cash on hand. Most people don't. So a lot of it is probably like if they're able to get the crypto wallets, and that's a lot of money, potentially millions that you can get, right?
Okay. It's in the pool. Oh, stop playing! No, it's across the lake. Stop playing! It's across the lake. Go! Okay, let's go. Hey, did you have a camera? I'm taking the phone.
Why would you mention your huge crypto cash out? I mean, you can assume that a streamer as big as Amouranth would have that.
Oh, in here. It's in here.
This is why dogs are useless for security, by the way. You're not doing it right.
Go.
Man.
All right, so I'm Colion Noir, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already seen the video that I did about the home invasion that Kaitlyn experienced, and also Nick, who actually did the shooting as well. And so what I wanted to do was kind of basically go through exactly what happened, because I know I talk about self-defense, protecting your home, so forth and so on, but we don't always get the perspective of the people who actually lived through it. And so what I want to be able to do is actually walk through what happened, and so that people can take whatever information they can take from it, at least from your experience and your experience as well, and then make the adjustments accordingly so that if they happen to be in that type of situation.
I actually don't really blame you for that, because if it's true, a lot of people in chat are saying that she's done a lot of things. Allegedly, she's done a lot of stunts. I think you're in the right to be skeptical.
You can kind of be better prepared for it. So,
wait, is that guy the abusive boyfriend that she was talking about before? Is it that guy? Like, actually? It's the same guy?
Yeah, let's walk through it. And one thing I noticed when I first got here was, like, you guys' place is pretty well guarded. Like, it's a pretty hard place to get into from the front. So they didn't get in through the front. They got in through the back.
Yes.
All right, so kind of talk to me about
So it's not well guarded.
what happened and how they got in.
Yeah, in hindsight, we reviewed the security camera footage so we can really like piece together the timeline. 10:30 something, you start here. Unfortunately, this camera that's up here, it goes out, and so you can't see that for the 10-minute stretch, but you can hear it from the other cameras that there's some kind of activity going on here. It's like a sawing, a banging on it, and then basically eventually, however they do it, they get 3 of these boards, which these are
they
we
wall
put new nails
breached.
into, just secured for now. 3 of these boards, basically, they pulled them out and then they basically vaulted in.
Gotcha. So did they even attempt to try to get in through the front?
They did. Briefly, one of my cameras caught them, kind of making an approach from like kind of diagonally to the front, right? And then when the floodlights and stuff, because we have a lot of kind of security stuff out front, started flickering on, they clearly changed their.
This is truly like level 1 criminal stuff, because like if you were actually going to, why would you let her lead you to a place without being movement restricted? These guys are total fucking noobs. Like, it's unreal.
Method of attack, yeah.
Right, like how do you turn around that kind of a situation? You have the HVT already under control, and then you let the HVT lead you to a place, not even zip tied. Like, what the? Yeah.
All right. So then, once they got in through this area here, what happens next?
They basically march straight across towards where the patio is, and usually the curtains are opened out, especially at night. And like they see the dogs, and you can see that they optically opt to go through the garage to hopefully avoid the dogs, it seems.
Gotcha. Okay, so I can see, so this is the garage area right here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right, because even my mind now, with the knowledge I have, if I kind of walked in and saw that, I would have thought that was the interior of the house.
Yeah.
But
like, so basically they come here and then like they see the dogs are like right at the thing looking at them, right? And
on the other side of
this barrier.
Gotcha.
Because that barrier is there, the curtains are not there.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
They're drawn, and then so like the dogs are just here looking. Princess is barking like a little bit, but like they're not really like, it's like, oh, weird, there's strangers here, but like, they're here to play or whatever. Then they optically go here, and that's when it gets a little comedic in that like this is always unlocked, which like this glass door, and so instead of checking it whatsoever, they just instantly go to smashing in the glass, and then
just slid it open.
and then suddenly
They didn't even try. They didn't even even try to slide it open. They just
They just went for the thing, right? And then in here we have a bunch of like, we entertain our nieces and nephews a bunch. There's like kids' toys and just
This part's pretty funny.
random doodads, and it's very cluttered. And so then there's this comical thing because there's a camera in there also of like they just are falling over things. It's dark.
That's called difficult terrain, guys. That's what that is.
They're tripping over everything. They're swimming through this trash basically.
Half movement speed.
That would have flushed the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah. So they're tripping all over, and then like you can see, they finally make it to the door, and they're thinking. I'm assuming that it must be okay. Now we're gonna get in the house, and they open it, and now they're facing the two dogs on the patio because this is a detached garage. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. That's hilarious as shit, and that's on video.
Yeah.
At this point, we're gonna cut to you and where you were at this time.
So I was laying in bed, and the three guys come in this hallway after they bust down the door, and then they turn all the lights on. I'm just like, what is happening? At this point, I already have Nick on the phone because as I was laying here, right, I went to bed early. He was still in his man cave across the driveway. I put on my sleeping mask, and about like maybe 2 minutes after I did that, I hear really loud bangs coming from this. I guess that was them breaking the glass door.
Gotcha, okay.
But I didn't know that at the time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, I know what's happening. I just hear really loud crashing sounds, and I call Nick and I asked if he heard that. He says, no, it's probably the dogs because our dogs will jump on the table and the crates on the patio and make noise. But I felt like it was way too loud for dogs. And so I told him, well, I'm going to lock the doors anyways. If you want to come in later, call me because I'll
You should have had a gun like right there, like already.
probably be. And I went and locked this door, and then I lock my bedroom door over there, and I try to lay back down. And then a few minutes later, I hear even louder bangs coming from that door, and then some shots because they were trying to shoot
I have
it
a gun right now on my desk. I'm literally arm's reach from a gun right now. That's loaded.
open. And then they finally kicked it in.
It is in Texas,
crashed,
yeah.
And that's when the three of them entered and turned on the lights. And so at this point, they're pointing guns at me, telling me to stand up. And so I come over here. As they're like coming at me with the
she's
gun
in
pointed at me.
Houston. Never mind.
And
She's
I
in
sit
Houston. I see.
in this chair, and one of them has the gun pointed at my
So
head.
they sat you on the chair, or you sat you?
I
they
sat
just-
on the chair.
Okay, gotcha.
Because they said stand up, but if they're coming this way, I don't really have anywhere else to go,
Gotcha.
right? And one of them has the gun pointed at my head, and the other one is asking where the crypto is, and he can hear
That's
all.
what I'm saying. Is like basically, if say their mission was to kill her, she's dead. She wouldn't be talking right now if that was their mission.
This too. It's
Yeah, relationally, I don't know where the phone is, but like I can hear, this. Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's no
So
calling. There's no calling the police. There's none of that. If they wanted her dead, she'd be dead.
Okay, so where was the phone at the time when?
At first, I had it when I sat down initially, but as he was asking where's the crypto, and I said I don't have it, he took my phone. And
Isn't it dangerous? There's multiple stories of kids accidentally shooting a loaded gun. I have a safe. My desk has a gun safe attached to the bottom of it. So I have a desk that's motorized, so my desk can raise up and down. It can become a standing desk, and that's when I do karaoke and stuff like that. Bolted to the bottom of my desk is a safe with a keypad and a biometric. And at the beginning of stream, once I sit down at my desk, I take the gun out, and then when I go to sleep, I put the gun away.
told me to unlock it for him, and then I guess he was looking for the Coinbase app, which I don't even have on my phone.
Gotcha.
And so when he didn't find that, he asked again, "Where's the crypto?" And I said, "I don't have it. It's not here." And then the guy pointing the gun said, "Hit her." Luckily, I had actually taken some influencer boxing courses because I was going to be in this huge tournament like a few years ago.
Okay.
And so my instincts went up just like to defend myself. And so that's why like my face looks okay. But I did get a laceration underneath my hairline on top of my head. And then like my hand is still recovering
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
from earlier this month. Yeah. And so I was just going like this, and they hit me 3 times.
And they were hitting you with the gun.
Yeah, pistol whipping.
Ah, okay.
Not shooting.
Yeah.
Biometric safes are quick to open. No, I take it out of the safe. So when I'm sitting at my desk, the gun goes out of the safe and onto my desk. So it's literally like next to my mouse. It literally like my mouse is about 3 inches from my gun. So like where my desk is, I'm holding it's next to my mixer. So all I have to do is reach over 2 inches and I have my hand on it. But I put it away when I'm going to bed.
But they did that. They don't know what the crypto is still, right?
So did they? So okay. So they assume it was.
And then my rifle is loaded right next to my bed, like kind of leaned against my desk. My bedside table. It's like leaned against it. My Scar, no, my Chili Penguin. I have multiple guns throughout the house. This Hellcat, the Hellcat is my streaming gun, and then I have one in the living room, and then I have my rifle next to my bed.
Or,
Yeah,
on
I
Coinbase
think
or
they
whatever,
might have
and then-
thought there was like a cold storage
Gotcha.
You
device
ever reached for
somewhere
your mouse and accidentally fired your pistol? No, no.
that was okay.
that they didn't know where it was. They're trying to like get the answer out of me. And so after the third pistol whipping, I just figured that they're not going to stop beating me. If I don't give them what they want, they might even shoot me, right? Because
Gotcha.
they were already pointing at my head. They already shot the door down. So I knew I just had to do something. I didn't really have a plan, but I just knew that there's no way they're going to let me like open up my bed drawers to grab my gun or anything.
So that was going to be my next question. So you do keep a gun up here.
Yeah.
I hope Colion Noir actually helps her. I hope like part of this was him like kind of helping her with
We
security
do,
setup or
but,
something.
You know, usually in my mind, it's always been like, oh, you hear you hear people break in, your camera alerts you, and you have time to figure it out. But not in this case. It happened way too fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, you know, you actually technically did hear it, but because the kind of human mind, we don't want it to be what the worst case scenario is, right?
Right.
So because I probably would have done the same, like, nah, you know, you just
Right.
kind of let it go. But then your intuition did kind of kick in, so you decided, hey, I'm gonna call Nick. It's like something's not right?
Yeah.
And then inevitably, if you hadn't have done that, this could have probably honestly gone totally different.
Yeah.
Like totally different. So, and then at this point in time, you were over there in the man cave.
Yeah, it's a
right?
whole detached, separate structure. We originally merged 2 lots, and so that's the second lot. And you know, it's like how we do work life separation. It's like I have an office up there, I have like a man cave up there. She has her studios downstairs, and then there's a gym in that area. And so I'm in my man cave, and then like a lot of people mention like, oh, well, how did you not hear? It's like that entire structure is hyper sound insulated, right? The idea was if I'm above her, I should be able, or she should be able to yell. I shouldn't be able to hear, and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
And so that kind of, worked against us in this case because I'm in the bathroom taking care of my business.
You mean you were
right?
taking a shit?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. If we can say that, then we'll go with that. Yeah. I was taking shit, and then like she called me back within 2 minutes, right? So it's like I don't know what, like 10:49 p.m. Okay. And then I pick up. I just finished the thing, and then it's on speakerphone, and then I hear the thing play out like instantly, right?
Gotcha.
Like it really felt like the whole Taken thing, except I didn't speak to the bad guy on the phone. Is the only difference. Yeah.
Right. So at this point, finish off where you were when they had you here, gun to your head, they were beating you, the pistol whipping you with the gun and whatnot. All right, so then what happens from there?
Yeah, after the third hit, I just was like, I'm gotta do something different. So I pretended that I knew where it was. Like, oh, I remember where I put it actually. Hold on, I'll show you. You can have it all. And so I'm like, kind of like jogging. I don't have any shoes on either. I'm just like in my socks and pajamas, and I'm jogging through the hallway. Well, now we're getting a new door and everything. So yeah, I'm going through here. You can actually see because my hands were covered in blood from my head and my hand being hit. You can see the blood still as I was like balancing myself. And I didn't even realize it at the time because I guess the adrenaline, but they had pulled my hair back. We saw on the security
Like
camera.
right here, like he just grabs a fistful of her hair and just yanks back, and you almost fall on your back in the video.
Yeah.
And like she doesn't remember that in the moment because whatever, but that's what me and Jacob saw looking at the footage, like just right after thing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so I'm leading them across here.
Did they catch these guys?
And at this point, I don't really have a plan, because I just know that any of the options for defense, whether it's going to be him or the panic room, are in this other building. Okay, so this is the building. And I don't actually know how close they are behind me, because I wasn't looking back at all. And so
So you were kind of like at a
So I mean,
jog trot.
like they let her like kind of jog out in front.
Exactly. As much
Yeah.
as you can do in bare feet.
Yeah.
Bare feet. And so I know that this panic room that we have, the door historically, every time I try to open and close it, is very heavy. And I just don't know if I have time with 3 of them chasing me to actually close it effectively before they just push it against me. And so I decided I'm just going to run up here.
So now we're back in your world.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So basically, on the phone during the call where I'm still hearing most of everything, I've, at this point, put up my briefs, didn't wipe. I have a plate carrier by the door. I'm a little bit of an over prepper, and so I slipped that on.
Oh,
and
damn.
I type in a little thing into my little
Holy fuck,
gun
yeah, that plate
safe thing,
carrier.
like just for a handgun, right?
So did you get it right the first time? The code.
I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
But okay, so I have a really dumb code that you can't really mess. It's like the same number.
Gotcha.
1,
Okay,
2, 3,
okay.
4.
Fair enough.
No.
And the reason I
Yeah.
asked that is for my own personal, because sometimes I'm in a situation where if I have a gun in my safe like that,
Yep.
is the adrenaline going to cause me to kind of fuck up the first time and then kind of go?
That's why I take the gun out of the safe, and that's why my rifle is at my bedside, leaned on my bedside table because of that.
back, because it can be a little kind of hard to do that. So that's why I asked.
I don't have good plate carriers though.
And so I knew right then that, like, unfortunately most of my guns are locked away. I have my concealed carry, 9mm handgun, and then I also have a shotgun. But because I know, hearing that they're, hitting her and are clearly close in proximity, I know that the shotgun isn't going to be the thing. So I slip on the plate carrier, I take the gun out of the locker after I press the code, and I'm running down here and I run to this door. By the time I get to this door, like, they're clearly on the move. And like my Google Home thing is flashing with notifications like person moving across camera 2 upstairs, person moving across camera 3. I don't know if it's a 5-second or a 30-second delay. I just know that they are on the move. And then, like, hearing it, like, she's clearly leading them somewhere. And so I figured she's definitely going to lead them here, because not only is the panic room here, I'm here, and she was on the phone with me, right?
Okay.
So everything that is an out, so to speak, is here. And so with that in mind, and this is the thing, right? Like, full sprint from here to the master is like 2.5 minutes probably. Their whole elapsed time from the door coming down
Amouranth,
to me shooting the guy is like 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Like, we tell the story and it's like, oh, it sounds like half an hour, but no, it's like less than 5 minutes, right? And it's like, from on the toilet and up. And so I'm at the door, and then I realize, okay, and then luckily we have these lights kind of like the other place where if you smash the top, they go max brightness because it's the gym, right?
Okay.
And so the idea, like, luckily I have a little of experience, now that I've seen camera work, I'm like, oh, the lighting's like an important thing. So I turn on all the lights here max, and then I run up here and I turn off this whole staircase lights.
Okay, so at this point, where are you?
Base strategy.
After you smash the lights. So you're...
Then I run up and I want to close the lights here.
He's going to shoot from concealment.
There's at least some...
Before I go.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then, like, as luck would have it, like, I'm coming back down, and then they're... Like, it's so fast, right? And so then basically it was tough because I knew it's like, in the movies, it's like, oh, someone's holding your loved one at gunpoint, and it's like, oh, you just take the perfect shot. But, like, I know enough to know that you can't take that. Like, that kind of thing. Like,
it's too
I
risky.
can't, at least. And so, like...
Too risky, especially when you have the adrenaline pumping. That's what I was saying is, like, if they used her as a shield, it would be way harder. But they kind of just let her run in front.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
So, because you mentioned something, I'm going to go back real quick. You talked about starting between a shotgun and a handgun, right? So, what made you choose a handgun over the shotgun? I'm kind of leading down to what you're
Precision,
getting
basically.
So if it was me hold up, I would probably pick the shotgun. But because I'm going to them, one thing, and then the second thing, the more important one, is that she's with them in close proximity. It just felt like that was too much of a blunt instrument.
Gotcha.
SBR would have been super based here.
And so, my hope was that, like, I didn't think she would respond if I told her to get down. And so I was like, I need to have a window of actually firing. And so I picked a spot where I thought, there could be some separation. And so they come here, she's here, and she's leading them, right? And she gets to here, and I tell her to get down. I still credit her with acting so, like, she's so cogent and calm that, like, she gets down immediately. She just gets all the way down, and then, like, these three,
nice, makes it easy,
they rush up here, and then they line up briefly. And so I only see what the first guy's doing, right? Like, I'm just tunnel visioning on him, and he looks up at me, and, like, in the moment, like, it's all on mute, right? Like, stress and adrenaline's at its peak.
Yep.
And so he yells something at me as he's raising his, hand holding the gun, and I don't know what that is. I see his mouth moving, and then so, I have my gun roughly trained on him, and then I fire, 3 shots, even though, and I thought, oh, they'd be loud, but, like, it was literally like I didn't hear the shots.
Which is crazy because we're in here right now, so you're gonna get some decent level of volume.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like no, there's the volume was off, right?
Yeah, my ears are ringing.
Yeah.
So your ears were okay because at that point you were already kind of out of the adrenaline.
Yeah, she wasn't even looking at the thing. Yeah. And so, like, I can tell he's hit
Probably
somewhere
9 mil.
because he stumbles back, and if I had to guess, like, I aim center, but because no one expects to, I don't train on an incline, so it's like I went low.
Yeah.
Like, right, and so he stumbles back. His friends grab him, they pull him, and from my vantage point, it's like I can't see them anymore.
It was a staccato. Damn. I mean, I guess they have a lot of money. I'll thank you for all of the support, you guys. I'll read them out after this. I'll turn the notifications back on. Just give me a second.
So I run to her. She's still huddled here. I grab her and I pull her up, and she had no idea what the outcome was.
Yeah.
Right. Shots are going.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so I pull her up. I lock the door up there, and then
So did they get a shot off back towards you or at all?
That's
or?
unclear.
Gotcha.
Later on, because I've never in my life fired a 22. but they found a 22 shell casing and then the actual bullet. So it's like somewhere but like
it was a 22. The criminals had a 22. I guess that tracks.
who knows, right?
Yeah, he had the bulletproof vest on, so.
Yeah,
that tracks. If you're a criminal, like you don't really need more than that, right?
Well, they didn't hit me. I know that.
Yeah. There you go.
What gun was it?
It was a Staccato CS.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So not a huge gun, but I mean decent capacity, about 16 plus one.
Staccato's pretty good. Yeah.
15 plus
stack,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Expensive.
So, okay. Also, and so at that
How
time,
much is a staccato? Those are a lot. Those are like 2K, aren't they? Oh, yeah, 2.5K.
when you went to grab it, what was your thought process in terms of grabbing a gun? In terms of
they look fucking nice though. Guys, are they actually worth it?
Did you have a red dot on it?
They actually worth. They look really nice. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like what's the capacity on this? Let's see, view specs. 15 round. It might be too big though. Like for me, for concealment, looks really cool though.
The red dot, so forth and so on.
Yeah, I have a red dot on all my guns. Basically, it's just easier for me because I it's like not a profession, so it's like I don't have that level of comfort. I want it to be pick up and go. But in that case, like
wait.
I don't remember. One is I don't remember.
Isn't red dot? I guess if you're not trying to be super fast, I guess red dot is more accurate, huh? Maybe it's easier to understand. Yeah, you know what? I can see that.
Turning the safety off, and then one is that like no, I don't remember.
The problem with red dots,
if
you have no training with red dots, the problem with it is so when you bring the here's the context behind it. If you're not a gun person, if you have a red dot on a gun and you bring it on a handgun and you bring it up from like a low ready or from holster or from table or wherever you bring it up from, and then you bring it up to aim, right? So you're gonna raise your hands up, right, in order to aim. The dot will actually be hard to find. Does that make sense? It might not actually be in the window. With irons, you have a frame of reference of like where the front side is and the rear side. I'm explaining the negatives of a red dot. And the negatives of a red dot can be alleviated. Well, one of the negatives of a red dot can be alleviated through training. So the main issue again is that when you pull the gun up, if you have iron sights, your brain intuitively knows how to bring up the front side and the back side to match itself, to match like the actual point of aim, right? Whereas with a red dot, when you bring it up, you don't have the reference point of the front side and the back side, so you might not even see the dot in the window. It might not be there. So if you don't have training, the red dot might be worse because it's going to take you a while to even find. You're going to be moving your freaking wrists around to even. Here, let me see if I can explain it. Okay. So here, I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay. So if you have a gun with iron sights, right? So okay. When you have iron sights, right? Like an iron sighted gun, there's a reference point. So you take the front sight and then you match it with the back sight, right? So you can immediately kind of put it in position. Because like no matter what, so if you pull the gun out and it's like this, the front sight needs to be turned that way. So you immediately turn it that way, right? So if you take a, and again, I've already pre-cleared all of these guns. There's nothing in there. Now with a red dot though, as you can see, like if you look at it like that, can you see you can't see it, right? So you literally cannot see the dot, right? It's not there. So you kind of have to move it to actually be like that, right? But it's harder, especially without a co-witness, to actually in the heat of the moment when you're looking in that window, you have to try to find that dot. So if you don't have the training to actually bring the gun up the perfect amount, right? So if you imagine you're pulling the gun out, so you had to pull the gun out of the holster and then you have to aim it and you're like, where's the dot? And then you have to try to find it. And all of these guns have the same thing. And all of these guns have the same sort of deal, right? This one's a little bit different because it's a co-witness. But yeah, so yeah, this is called a co-witness where you can actually see the iron sights still in the window, like that. See, that's called a co-witness. But when you have a gun that doesn't have a co-witness, like this one's kind of bad, you can see that you'd have to try to match it up that way. Do you understand now why I was saying that red dots you need a little bit more training to use? Because it's not as intuitive. It's not as intuitive. Like you get this, this is easy to understand. Whereas with this one, it's not. Yeah, sure. What's up, Perthis? Before I go back to the video, this is my streaming gun, by the way. It's a Hellcat Pro. Okay, back to the video.
It was more so just instinctual. You pick it up, and then luckily muscle memory kicked in.
Hopefully that helps you to understand more what I was talking about, because I know it might be a little confusing.
Safety off, and then you fire the shots.
And that's why I kind of always talk about when you go out and train, just do even a little bit, just train a little bit of not using your sights. And what I mean is just point shooting.
I do that a lot. I practice point shooting a ton. In fact, I recently got my mom into point shooting. And point shooting is basically when you are aiming, but then you're not really looking at the sights. You're looking at the target instead, and just kind of getting a feel for accuracy for the gun that's like in your hand and pointed in that direction, relative to like how you like your posture and like your stance, and then trying to like just make it so you hit like a torso sized target when you raise up your gun immediately. Kind of, yeah. It's kind of like it's sort of like you know, bows and arrows. Like there's people that they use like a sight on a bow, and then there's people that they already know where the arrow is gonna hit. They just literally like bring the bow up and they shoot, and they don't even like look. They're just looking at the target and they know it's gonna hit the target. It's kind of like that, but for guns. One trick is that if you actually have the front sight slightly high compared to the rear irons, you can actually just shoot kind of above it, and then it'll hit in that general area.
And then just acting as if
do
you're
it all the time
startled
in not in airsoft, in
like
VR.
you just talked about, you had a
VR.
red dot on there, right? And you didn't even remember seeing the red dot, which I think is what's going to happen with most people.
Yeah.
The people I've talked to who've been in situations, I've yet to meet one person that said, "Oh yeah, I had a clear front sight, or I had that red dot dialed in on exactly what I was shooting at." Ever happened from the people I've talked to.
That's why I use iron sights, by the way. It's the main reason. But again, so what are the negatives of the red dot? Is one, it does require more training. It does have a lot of benefits though. So like so benefits of the red dot, smaller point of aim, like we talked about, kind of easier for like long range shooting, better for accuracy because it obscures less of the target. Now, what are the negatives? It takes more training to use to like make sure you find the dot in the window. And the other thing is concealment, is it's a little bit bigger. So it basically adds a little bit more to like the guns like over our size. So it's a little bit less good handling wise for concealment specifically. The other thing is too, is they're expensive to get like a good optic. You're going to definitely want like at least like $250. You don't really want to cheap out when it comes to like a optic, a red dot optic. Hollow Sun would probably be like the minimum there. And there is the possibility of it failing due to a couple of factors. It just breaks, the battery goes out, or water gets into it. If it's a open housing, water can get into the top of it. So those are a couple of the reasons, the negatives for red dots, which of course can all be mitigated. So it's really what matters more to you. Does that make sense? It's what matters more to you. Being
able to do that, I think is going to be incredibly valuable. And then so like now you're on the ground, crouched down. So what's going through your head? Because at this point, you know, you're leading them into a situation. You know he kind of knows what's going on to a degree, but you don't know exactly. So what's going through your mind?
I live in the forest though, so.
It sounds crazy, but like not that much. I guess the shock, and now it's my head starting to pound more. Gotcha. And so he tells me to hide, and I go to the balcony that we have, and I just huddle there in the corner until the police come. And then as I'm sitting on the balcony, though, I'm thinking like, I don't know if he's dead or not, because I didn't look back, and he went to go fight the bad guys. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, because you don't know if they're going to come back.
Correct.
They dragged them off.
It felt like now with the benefit of hindsight, you see them. They get shot. They never stop running. Right, like the security camera outside this building shows them coming in, 3 shots firing, them running out like Scooby-Doo villains. They never stop running through the whole property. Every camera's catching them running. And the guy who got shots in shock yelling, just on repeat, I got shot. I got shot. I got shot.
And so they went out the way they came in.
Yeah, like just, and then like, the guy who got shot stumbles because it's like a little bit of a vault over. And so he stumbles and like leaves he leaves blood all along the driveway, and then he leaves a little pool where he fell over. But to me, I shot one guy. There's 3 armed guys. They seem pretty determined. I thought for sure they're going to avenge their buddy, or they're going to come for what they were here for, right? And so I was standing guard behind that door, and then this is the call I made to 911. And then like, even, like as I was saying it, like cause like, so this is the part I haven't mentioned as much, but it's like, we get swatted a lot.
Okay.
Like that also is a big risk that comes with the live streaming, right? Because if they can get that instant feedback of I swat the person and I see them being swatted, that's that sends them into overdrive, you know? Like a YouTube thing, you'd edit it out.
I had to talk to the cops recently for this, tell them that like it's a possibility.
And like so
like,
Peter
told me
so I don't get killed.
And so it's like, honestly, like at times it felt like once a month, and even infrequently, it's at least once every other month. It happens all the time.
Crazy.
It is, yeah.
That is crazy.
It's at a certain scale of live streaming, and like
that should be attempted murder. if you SWAT somebody, it should definitely be attempted murder because that's what it is.
Obviously, bigger people, it affects them even more.
Yeah.
It's like, some of them, like, it's like, they have the person, the responder on phone, and then they're just like, we're going to send someone over, just show them your ID, say everything's okay, right?
Yeah.
That's what it becomes, right? The first time, you're military hog-tied to the floor and guys with guns are swarming the place.
Yeah.
And then after that, a cop shows up and he just, looks at your ID, asks you a few questions, and it's done, right? So, like, for me, bumps in the night, if they involved people, they've always been a swatting. And so, like, my first response actually can't be, imagine in suburbia America, you show up and open the front door with a gun,
That's why literally my mind was like, fuck it. Shit.
Yeah. So it's almost like, historically more dangerous to be like guns out running around the place like a cowboy, right? And so, but in this case, I felt pretty good that it was definitely not any kind of authority thing. Yeah. And so, I felt like somewhat freed up to act in that way, yeah.
So now, from that perspective, having gone through all of that, so what kind of, and within reason, because there's no point to just share everything at that point, and then now everybody knows the whole system. But like, kind of what changes mentally, physically have y'all kind of undergone in terms of, potentially guarding against something like this happening again?
More security, better reinforced walls.
You need good doors. That's like the big thing that a lot of people overlook is you need good doors, especially if it's going to be like a security door that's specifically to protect. So if it's an external door, especially external doors, but if you have like a big compound like house like she does and she has like a specific door that she wants protected, that also needs to be a security door because most doors can just be kicked down quite easily.
It's like if you have two big cement walls and then some wood ones, well, they're going to go through.
Yeah, you can jump kick most doors and just break them instantly.
Wood ones probably, if they can at all.
It's either move or make yourself an optically and actually just harder target, right? Yeah.
Because I mean, like, even from the police standpoint, I'm like, how many times did you call the cops? Did you ever call the cops at any point?
No.
I called twice.
Okay.
Once.
They took my phone.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So once was when they were halfway, like not halfway, but like they were rounding the driveway and starting that journey, and then the phone finally disconnects. That's when it actually. So I stopped getting the audio feed, but still the camera was pinging, right?
Pinging.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then I called the cops, and like literally that first call, and I it's fair because it's like I've never been on the the calling side of the equation. It's someone swatting me, right?
Gotcha.
And so then I'm over there, and like every time I got swatted previously, I would ask them, after they were done sweeping the place, I'd be like, what did they even say? And it was always something hyper outrageous, like, oh, there's a hostage situation, the kids are still here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And in this case, I picked up the phone. I said, hey, there's 3 guys. They have my wife at gunpoint. And it's kind of a hostage situation. I was like, this is a swatting call. And then you could tell they were like, maybe they sent someone immediately, but they were kind of like, okay, hold on, more slowly, sir. Like, who are you and what's the situation? It's like, and then at that point, I go, they're coming, I gotta go. Yeah. And they go, no, stay, whatever. I was just like, all right, I'm hanging up.
Gotcha.
And I do the thing, and then I call them back.
Yeah. So the reason I asked you that too is the first thing that just went through my head was like, damn, it's like you even if you wanted to wait for cops, you couldn't. You didn't have.
That's what I was saying. That's what I keep saying is the cops cannot protect you from this kind of thing happening. It's like I said, like even Amouranth, if they wanted to kill her, she'd be dead. She was literally at their mercy. If one of those guys was having a bad day and just wanted to offer, they could have done it.
The time. Right. So that's crazy. And that's something I'm always kind of pointing out. It's like
she would not be alive right now. She was 100% at the mercy of those 3 people. If they wanted her dead, she wouldn't be alive.
The cops don't want to be there. It's not like they can't be there. They literally can't be there.
Yeah.
They just can't be there at time. I'm like, even for you, like you were in your bed.
Yeah.
Like you're not calling the cops. Like there's nothing they're gonna do to help you in that situation.
Yeah, and if I was on the phone with the cops, it could have just shot me, right?
There's that too. Yeah, I didn't even think about that actually.
And like the second call, it was about 8 minutes, so it's pretty fast, right? Like it's like on the scale of it, I think it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
And like, but this whole thing from her door coming down, if you start the clock at that point, to me shooting the guy, it was like 4 minutes 30 some odd seconds. So it's like it's double that time still.
That's crazy. And like just like you said, walking that from them getting into there, walking to where she was, having her come out of here. We're not even factoring in everything that happened on the chair, right? So there's that, and it's still just 4 minutes.
That's fast.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think we still have the blood in the bullet holes.
A little
behind
bit,
you,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
The guy getting shot, and then the bullet holes in the wall right here.
Well, no, I mean, I really appreciate it because like I said, very few people are going to go through this, but nobody knows if they're going to go through it. So that's why I kind of wanted you guys to kind of walk through it for me so that we can give your side of the story and then people can kind of learn from that. And I know a lot of people thought it was fake,
right?
Because you were posting it on on Twitter and on social media and so forth and
and
so
a lot
on.
of them said they didn't see the blood until like, because most of the security footage of me running over here, it was still like in my hair.
Gotcha.
And so
your hair's red.
It is red.
Yeah, gotcha.
But then by the time I guess on the balcony, I was like just checking out my own wounds, and then like because I rubbed my head, it started bleeding more.
And they brought medical people, so once they reached us, it was like, you know, momentary before the medical people were absolutely on her. But like when me and the first responder turned to look at her, my first time really seeing her in the light, like it was just a lot of blood coming down, and it looked a lot, you know.
So apparently, according to Syrians, they did get arrested. Okay, 16 to 19 years old.
You know, like it looked like we both asked, like, you know, are you hit? You know.
And I think part of the reason where you got some of the it's fake aspect too is because the main video we saw was you running to this door.
Right.
Right. And so without context, it just seems freaking odd. It's like, what? She's like trotting to the door and you're like, what the hell? But now within the full context, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And then the other part was like they go, wait, you said you were woken up by them, but why are you running to the front door?
Exactly. Right. But they didn't have the layout of the way things are here.
Yeah.
Well, I really do appreciate you letting us kind of come into you guys' house and just showing the world essentially what happened. And I'm glad you're okay. Thank you. Did your shit. Good shit. That was a good shit. Yeah.
I just ran. I was like, I don't know what to do.
No, I mean, for a lot of people, like, you know, they don't have, and like you said, it wasn't like you had this planned out in your mind and you had this, but you had some level of preparation, which helped you in that, right? For everything that went wrong, enough went right to overcome what went wrong. And so I'm not gonna lie to you, play care of some G shit. I always thought about
that is fucking hardcore. Yeah, I kind of want some. You know what? Maybe I will invest in some soon. That might be a thing to get. Maybe one for me and my mom. Just have it like maybe hanging on the wall or something, so that like if something like this happens, I can just throw it on real fast.
Doing the same thing, right? So last question, and it might be a difficult one, may not be. If you didn't have access to a firearm, what do you think you would have or could have done?
I have no idea. It's almost like because I you know afterwards
you're not winning against 3 people even if they don't have guns. And that's the other thing too is the other factor of like, well, you know, if you ban all guns, then the enemy won't. Then the other guys won't have guns, right? Well, the problem is that's still 1v3. You're actually in a better spot with guns 1v3 than you are without guns in terms of like actually being able to defend against a threat that wants to kill you.
Run the scenario endlessly, and you're like, you know, even in my scenario, I could shave a few seconds off by not,
because you have many benefits as a defender in terms of once they're actually on your property and they're attacking you, you have the benefit of pre-planning, better equipment, all like that kind of stuff. Because you know, you can have, again, like this guy had a plate carrier, you could have had a rifle, you could have had a better angle. Again, he turned off the lights, right? Like he had a much better preparation in terms of like choosing the engagement on the counter ambush. Like he actually had that because he was in his own home. And again, a lot of those steps could have been mitigated if there was no guns.
Getting my gun, right? And so it's like, what would I do? Rush over there and then you know, like, oh, hey guys, like I know where it is. Like, that's all you can do. Like I know where the crypto is. She does.
But the gun freedom side goes too far. They don't want background checks or training or licenses required for any of it. Well, I mean, okay. So the problem is, I want to address this just so I can kind of talk about how like it's not that. So when the gun people say that they don't want background checks, it's because that they don't want background checks. First off, there are background checks. If you should try to buy a gun, Tazito. Like you really should. You should try to buy a gun and tell me they don't check anything, because that's just not true, right? And then when it comes to training, when it comes to training, the reason behind that is like, well, now you're so what if you have like a family member, like say me, right? And say like I'm your friend, Tazito. And I am offering to you, like, I'll train you how to use a gun. Like, I'm pretty good at it. I can teach you how to do it. I can teach you how to be safe. But then, like, that wouldn't count towards training. And then for licenses, it costs money to get a license, right? The government is going to tax you in order to get a license. They're going to charge you a licensing fee, right? In order to actually pay for all of the things to get licenses. And that disproportionately affects poor people. So it's like a lot of things behind that. And I definitely think that there's some room for possible compromise here, but the law has to be absolutely airtight if you're going to do that, because there's a lot of ways that it can be abused, and it will be abused by many of these states, like California, for instance. They abuse this shit all the time.
No, let her go.
Yeah.
If you let her go, I'll show you, like something like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But then, like, you know, it ain't great, but like I guess it fixes her.
Yeah.
Maybe, right? Maybe, because like there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
If one guy goes with her,
Then
he's still with her. You know,
that's true. That's actually
so
very
it's
true.
like I've thought about it. I was like, I have no idea. Like that was
Yeah.
the only like path that didn't lead to like disaster. It seemed like.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
makes sense. Damn. Well, fuck. It's
In
crazy.
all of these fees, they disproportionately affect poor people. Anytime you have a licensing fee, a training fee, it disproportionately affects poor people because poor people can get training from their friends, right? They can get training from their friends or their family. And that's how a lot of people learn how to use guns. Like I taught my dad how to use a gun. It's really not that hard to use a gun. It's not really hard to learn how to be safe with a gun. What it is a lot of people sometimes they are complacent, which is the thing that you do have to keep drilling into people is that you cannot, you can't. And this is why when I'm showing my guns on stream, I try to take the magazine and put it away. That's why you see me clear the same gun. Like when you see me like take a gun out on stream, I clear the same gun like 5 times. It's like I already know it's clear. I already know what it is, but I do it anyway. Because I want to make sure 100% that there is no possible fucking way of making a mistake. So I check again, I check again, over and over and over again. And even when I clear my gun at home, I do 3 different checks. I pull the slide back, which would normally pop out around, right? So magazine out, pull the slide back. That should pop around out if there's one in there. And then I do a visual check. I look inside of the barrier, the barrel. I check inside the barrel. Do I see a bullet in there? I don't. Okay. Next, I stick my finger inside of the back of the barrel. So now I have a mechanical, a visual, and a physical, like a tactile check that there's no bullet in there. And you see me do this all the time on stream. And that's how I know that. And that's why I know I'm never gonna fuck up. I'm never gonna shoot the gun. I'm never gonna shoot it at my desk on accident. You'll never see it. And it's because the amount of times that I check it and I make sure is really, really high. Anytime I look away from a gun, I always check it again. Chamber flags for the win. Yeah, you could do that too. Yeah. Treat every single gun as if it's loaded at all times. And if you get it, yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that's why Tazito, because it costs money for people that can't afford it. You're basically telling people that are like, and a lot of the times people that are poor are even more in a situation where they need a gun than people who aren't, because people who are rich have gated communities, private security. If you want to even get in to their neighborhood, you need to open a fucking gate. They have like an automatic gate system and then they have a guard sitting there in front of the gate. And so they have security systems out the ass, and poor people can't afford this. So not only is it an imposition on people that are responsible, right? Because again, like responsible people aren't even going to have this problem in the first place. So not only is it an imposition on responsible people, it's also an imposition disproportionately on poor people. What we're against. So again, it's not an idea of like, oh, gun people, they want people to be irresponsible and shoot each other on accident. Of course not. Nobody wants that. But what's the cost? It's always a give and take. There's always a cost. Like when you enact a law, you enact a regulation, there's always a cost to it. It's still a problem, yes, but what's the solution? You see what I mean? So what's the solution that you can, that's why people talk about it and they argue about it, is because what is the solution to the problem that solves it in the best way? And that's the whole point of debate, right? That's the whole point of talking about it.
But no, I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I'm glad everything worked out as best it could. One thing's for certain and 2 things are for sure. Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you. And we're all fighting this culture war together. Now you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.
Share this one with your friends, guys. Give it a like, please. And check out Colion Noir. I highly recommend Colion Noir's Colion Noir's content. Does a lot of like really cool gun content, gun reviews. I really like his stuff.